I'm going to discuss about the elastic limit. So what is the definition? Definition is that it is the upper limit of the deforming force. Okay, this is the upper limit of the deforming force. So up to which, if the deforming force is removed, the body regains its original form completely. So basically, up to this limit, if the deforming force is removed, if we remove the deforming force, then the body regains its original size completely. And beyond this limit, the body loses its property of elasticity. So when the body loses its property of elasticity, we can say this is the plasticity. So basically, the elastic limit is a limit, so up to which after removal of the deforming force, the body again regain its original configuration. We can say this is the elasticity. And if the body, it means up to which, so beyond which, if the body loses its property of elasticity, then we can say this is the plastic or plasticity. So example is just like this. I am giving some example. Suppose this is a spring, okay, and if I apply some force, or if I stretch the spring into this direction, then what I observe? I observe that the length of the spring getting increases. So first, this is a spring and I am stretching this spring, it means I am applying some force into this direction. And the second case, I found that the length of this spring getting increases. Now I remove this force. Now I remove the deforming force. So after removal of the deforming force, if the spring again regain its original size, then we can say this is the elastic. Okay, so this is a limit. So after removal of this deforming force, if the spring again regains its original size, then we can say this is the elastic. Now, if the limit has losses that regain property, if the limit is unable to regain its original size, then we can say this is the plastic or plasticity. So basically the idea is that when we apply some force or apply some deforming force into an object, then it changes configuration. Then after removal of this deforming force, if the spring again regains its original size, then we can say this is the elastic. But it loses the tendency to regain its original size, then we can say this is the plastic. Okay. Now the elastic are also a type are there. So suppose say same thing, again a spring, and if I apply some deforming force into this direction, it means if I press, then its length getting reduced. Okay. Now after removal of deforming force, what I observed? I observed that it again completely regains its original size. So if any object exactly regains its original size, then we can say this is perfectly elastic. Understood? So when I apply some deforming force into the spring, I found that its size or its length getting reduced. Then after removal of the deforming force, if the object or if that spring again completely regain its original configuration, then we can say this is the perfectly elastic. But if the object regains its configuration, but it is not completely, it is unable to regain exactly, it is unable to regain completely its original size, but it has tendency to regain, then we can say this is the elastic. So there are two different terms. The one term is that after removal of the deforming force, if the object exactly regain its earlier configuration, then we can say this is the perfectly elastic. But if the object has a tendency to regain, but it is unable to regain exactly configuration, earlier configuration, then we can say this is the elastic. And what is plastic? Plastic means the object loses its tendency to regain its original size. So we can say this is the plastic.